Hello and good morning. It's Wager Detective here, May 29th, 2026. And we got a pretty good game to cap here. The Atlanta Braves taking on the Cincinnati Reds. Before we get into the cap, be sure to follow Wager Detective on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Set alerts on Twitter. So when anytime Wager Detective drops content, a play, betting knowledge, you get that alert sent right to your phone. And also on YouTube, when you subscribe, set alerts for that too, so that when the Wager Detective report drops, which I'm dropping it daily now on YouTube, set alerts for YouTube for that report, so when it does drop, it comes right to your phone. And more than anything else, guys, I want you to know I appreciate and love all the support out there. It's all content, it's all entertainment, and Wager Detective getting better and better by the day. The Wager Detective report was 2-0 yesterday, two underdogs cashed. I predicted the Angels at plus 116, and then the late game, the Astros at plus 120. So 2-0 coming off a 2-0 day yesterday on the calls on the Wager Detective report. All right, let's get into this cap right now. Right now, the Braves are minus 146, and the Reds are coming back at plus 124. The over-under is set at 9.5, minus 105 to the over, minus 115 to the under per FanDuel. Now, the Braves this year, having a great year. Weiss has his team playing well. They're 38-19 on the year. They're 6-4 in their last 10. They're 19-11 in their last 30, and they're 6-5 in one-run games, and they're 21-9 on the road. So the Braves playing great. Braves playing good recently. Braves playing great overall this year. They are 7-3 in their last 10 versus the Reds, scoring 5.9 runs per game to 3.5. That comes out to 9.4 runs per game average. In their last 10 versus the Reds, the Braves have scored 5+ 5 times, and the Reds have scored 3 or less 6 times in that split. Now, the Braves are 6-3 in their last 9 on the road at Cincinnati, 6 over, 3 under. In that split in the last 9 at Cincinnati, the Braves have scored 7.66 runs per game to 5.44 for the Reds. That's a score differential of 69-49 in favor of the Braves, and that total's coming out to 13.1 runs per game in the last 9 meetings in Great American Ballpark. So, in that split, the last 9 at the Reds, the Braves have scored 5+ 7 times, and the Reds have scored 5+ 5 times. So, when they get together in Cincinnati, 6 over, 3 under in the last 9, and both teams have scored 5+ between the both of them 12 times in those 9 meetings. So something to keep in mind there. They're playing the Reds great. 7-3 last 10, 6-3 the last 9 at Cincinnati. They're playing great overall. Like we said, 38-19 on the year, 6-4 in their last 10, and 21-9 on the road. Now, the Braves this year, road night games, they're 15-6, 10 over and 11 under. They're scoring 5.81 runs per game to 3.95. That's 122 runs to 83 for their opponents, and that total's coming out to 9.76 runs per game average. In their 21 road night games this year, the Braves have scored 5+ 11 times. Their opponents have scored 5+ 8 times. And their opponents, when they don't score, they're scoring 2 or less 10 times in that 21-game split. So 15-6 in road night games this year. I mean, they're just absolutely playing fantastic. They're hitting the ball. They're scoring 5.81 runs per game in their road night games and 21 average in their 21 road night games. So looking good there too. Now, 6-3 in their last 9. 5 over, 4 under in their last 9. They're scoring 5.44 runs per game average to 3.55 for their opponents. 49-32 run differential there. In the Braves' last 9, they've scored 5+ 6 times, and their opponents have been held to 2 or less 4 times. So they're beating their opponents by almost 2 runs a game over their last 9. Okay, so something to keep in mind there. They've only played the National League Central 3 times this year. They have a 2-1 record against the Cubs. All 3 games did go under that 9.5. Now, every Wager Detective report has a situational angle, and this report is no different. So the situational angle here is the Braves are going from city to city with no rest, and they are 6-3 in their last 9, going from city to city, no rest before the All-Star break. 3 over and 6 under. They're scoring again, 5.11 runs per game to 4. So it seems like all these metrics between the year, what they're doing against the Reds, last 9 overall, last 9 at Cincinnati, road night games, that +5 or plus is just adding up. It doesn't stop in all these splits. So Braves, again, 6-3 in their last 9, going from city to city, no rest in that first game of a series, that new series. They're 6-3 in their last 9, 3 over, 6 under, scoring 5.11 runs per game to 4 for their opponent. Now, on the mound, Grant Holmes is going to be on the mound. And the Braves are 4-1 in his last 5 starts, 1 over and 4 under in those games. And in the one loss in the 4-1 in the last 5, the Braves have won with Holmes on the mound. That one loss was against the Nationals, and that was in his last outing, where he gave up 2 home runs. So 2 solo shots was all it took to get to beat the Braves in that game, and the Nationals got it done. So in Holmes' last 5 starts, the Braves are 4-1. The Braves are scoring 5.2 runs per game to 2.8 for their opponents. That's a 26-14 run differential there. And in his last 5 starts for Holmes, 26 innings pitched, 26 hits, 12 earned runs, 13 walks, 6 home runs, and 27 strikeouts. That comes out to a 4.15 ERA, a 1.5 whip, and he's giving up 2.07 home runs per 9 in his last 5 outings. So you want to keep that in mind, right? Usually when a guy, teams are doing good behind a player, it can go cold, not just for one game, like he just saw against the Nationals, where he gave up 2 home runs. You lost by giving up 2, and there was none on base. So all it takes is a crooked inning where, you got a guy on base, get a little nervous, you're on the road here, like you're going to be in Cincinnati. When we get into this cap, we'll see where it heads to. Now, the Braves are 7-3 when Holmes starts this year overall. They beat the Phillies twice, Arizona, Colorado, the Cubs, and Boston in those wins. Now, Holmes on the year has a 3.78 ERA. He's given up 9 home runs, struck out 48 in 52 1/3. He's given up 44 hits and 24 walks. So on the year, he's got a 1.30 whip and he's given up 1.54 home runs per 9. He's striking out 8.3 batters per 9, but walking 4.13 batters per 9. So his K to his walk ratio, not really that good, right? You're walking guys, and you're not really missing a lot of bats, right? 48 Ks in 52 innings pitched, less than a strikeout an inning. So those are the things you want to kind of keep a mind on. In his last outing, he had a career high in strikeout. He had a season high in strikeouts in his last outing versus the Nationals. He struck out 10 Nationals batters. He is going to be on 5 days rest here, and the Braves are 1-1 in those situations. In 2 games on 5 days rest this year for Holmes, 9.2 innings pitched. He's given up 10 hits, 4 earned runs, and 3 home runs. So again, on 5 days rest and on the year, he's giving up home runs. And this was another interesting part of this cap early on that Wager Detective found. Okay, Holmes is, when he starts versus the Reds, the Braves are 0-2, losing 5-6 and 3-4, 1 over and 1 under in those 2 games versus the Reds. Against the Reds, he's got a 5.79 ERA in 9.1 innings pitched. He's given up 12 hits, 6 earned runs, 3 walks, and 2 home runs. So a 5.79 ERA, a 1.61 whip, and he's given up almost 2 home runs a game against the Reds per 9, 1.93 home runs per 9 in 9 innings pitched against the Reds. So Not really good there, right? The Braves are playing good. They play good against the Reds. Like we said, 7-3 in their last 10. They're 6-3 in their last 9 at Great American Ballpark. They're scoring 5+ per game in all the splits that we looked at. They're playing fantastic. And again, the Braves 21-9 on the road. But again, you got to use that with caution, right? When you see that, people want to jump on that. Sometimes it might not be that night. It might just not be that night. Now, in this situation, as I get further into the cap, the Braves are going to go from city to city with no rest, and the Reds are coming off a day off the road, albeit. So you like a day off when you're going from home to home series to home series, but even still, you have a day off in between, whereas the Braves are coming off of going from city to city with no rest. So the Reds will be in a rest advantage in this game. Now, let's get into the Reds part of the cap. Okay, the Reds this year, as we can see on the screen, 29-26. They're playing pretty good. In home night games this year, the Reds are 7-6, 10 over and 3 under. They're scoring 4.76 runs per game to 6.23 for their opponents. That's a 62-81 run differential disadvantage for them in home night games this year. But in their home night games this year, in 13 home night games, they've scored 7+ 6 times, and they've scored 2 or less 5 times. So in that split, it's either feast or famine. And I think against a pitcher like this, Wager's kind of leaning the over because of Holmes, and as we'll get into Chris Paddock, who's going to be on the mound for the Reds, I'm kind of leaning the over. So in 13 home night games this year, again, 10 over, 3 under. The Reds are 7-6. They've scored 7+ 6 times, but their opponents have scored 7+ 7 times, and have scored 2 or less. Their opponents have scored 2 or less 4 times. So it's either going to be it's going to be around that number of 9.5, or it's going to get over that spot. So the Reds, they're 5-4 in their last 9 games, 3 over and 6 under. They're scoring 4.88 runs per game in their last 9, and their opponents are scoring 4.66. And that's coming out to 9.54 runs per game average in the Reds' last 9 games. Now, in the last 9 games for the Reds, they've scored 7+ 4 times and 2 or less 2 times. So they're scoring runs in their last 9, right? They're averaging 4.88. They're only giving up 4.66. In their last 9, their opponents have scored 7+ only 2 times. So again, the Reds have scored 7+ runs 4 times in their last 9 games, and their opponents have scored 7+ only 2 times, and their opponents have scored 2 or less 3 times. So they're playing a little bit better. They're outscoring their opponents. They're scoring 7+ 2 more times in that last 9 than their opponents. So they're swinging the bat well. And the situational split for the Reds is going to be a day off, and then a day off, coming off the road, and then coming home before the All-Star break. And in that situation, they're 3-2 in their last 5. So the split there is they have a day off, they come off a road trip, then they have a day off, and then that first game after that day off. They're 3-2 dating back to last year. In that split, 3 over, 2 under. They're scoring 5.4 runs per game, but they're giving up 6.8. It's coming out to 12.2 runs per game average. And this year, the Reds are 7-6 against the National League East, 5 over, 8 under. 5 of those 13 games have landed on 9 total runs. So something to think about there. That's got to be like 40% right there, right? 5 out of 13's got to be in the 40% range. So 7-6 versus the National League East. They're scoring 5.53 runs per game to 4.23. That's a 72-55 run differential advantage for the Reds. And they've scored 6+ runs 6 times versus the National League East in those 13 games. Okay? Their opponents have scored 6+ 4 times, and their opponents have scored 2 or less 5 times in that split. So 7-6 versus the East. They're scoring more than a run a game better over those 13 games. So a lot to think about there. Now, on the mound for the Reds, you're going to have Chris Paddock. I mean, guy has been just absolutely brutal this year. His teams are 0-5 in his last 5 starts, 1 over, 4 under, 3 of those games have landed on on 9 total runs. And in his last 5 outings, 21 in the third innings pitched, 31 hits, 19 earned runs, 9 walks, only 2 home runs, and 17 Ks. So he's got a ridiculously high ERA over his last 5. But surprisingly enough, he's not giving up a lot of home runs. And if you look at his stats, he just really hasn't. He's not a guy that gives up home runs. He gives up hits and, his walks, but it's just teams are stringing hits together against him. 31 hits and 21 in the third in his last 5. So that could be dangerous against a team like this. Now, teams are 0-8 when Paddock starts this year. 36 innings pitched, 51 hits, 31 earned runs, 6 home runs, 10 walks, and 31 strikeouts. That comes out to a 1.69 whip, guys, and a 1.5 home runs per 9 he's giving up in 8 starts this year. But here's the surprising part. Here's the part where it gets a little interesting. He is 2-2 in results versus the Braves, right? And he has 20 2/3 innings pitched against the Braves with a 2.18 ERA. That's where, so we said Holmes 0-2 in his career versus the Reds, right? They're absolutely, we said that they're hitting them pretty good, right? They're hitting them pretty good, the Reds. He's in 9 1/3 innings pitched for Holmes versus the Reds. He's got a 5.79 ERA, a 1.61 whip, and giving up almost 2 home runs per 9. Now, when we look at Paddock versus the Braves, in his starts, the results have been 2-2 for the teams he's pitched for. And he's got a 2.18 ERA, a 0.82 whip, and he's giving up only 0.87 home runs per 9 in those splits. So, between having a day off for the Reds, coming home, they're going to be amped up against the Braves that are going from city to city with no rest, even though they're good in that split. Holmes is showing that he could give up home runs. I like the team with the last at bat here. Now, if we look at some of the stats leaders, the Braves, they got 3 guys that are 2 guys that are in the top 10 or top 15 in batting average, Baldwin and Harris. Baldwin coming in at number 10. Top 10 in Major League Baseball with a 303 average. Harris coming in at number 14 with a 301 average. And Ozzie Albies is in the top 50. He comes in at number 42 with a 276 average. For the Reds, they got 1 guy in the top 50. That's De La Cruz. He's number 41 with a 282 average. Now, when we come to home runs, the Braves got a bevy of them. They got 3 guys in the top 15. Olson, Harris, and Baldwin. 15, 13, and 13 respectively. Olson, number 7 in Major League Baseball with 15 home runs. Ozzie Albies coming in at number 41 with 9. And the Reds only got 1 guy on the radar there, coming in at number 21. That's De La Cruz with 12 home runs. And if we look at RBIs, Olson, number 3 in baseball with 44. Baldwin cracks the top 10 again with 38. He's only struck out 44 times. So, very good. And then you got Harris coming in at number 26 in Major League Baseball with 33 RBIs. He's only struck out 39 times. On the Red side, they got a couple guys in the top 20. De La Cruz coming in at number 12 with 37 RBIs, but he struck out 72 times this year. So it's either all or nothing with him when it comes to home runs, getting on base, RBIs. But De La Cruz coming in at number 12 in Major League Baseball. Number 12 in Major League Baseball in RBIs with 37. And then you got Sal Stewart, coming in at number 16 with 36 RBIs. So they got a couple guys over there they can get it done. And Stewart's going to be batting cleanup. So if I'm looking at home run props, I would be looking at De La Cruz. I would be looking at Sal Stewart. Those are the guys you want to. And then on the other side, obviously you're looking at Matt Olson. And you're probably, you're looking at Michael Harris Jr. Those are the guys, and even Baldwin. But it looks like they might get a break here because I don't see Baldwin in the expected lineup for the Braves. So that's an advantage. A guy that has, the best batting average in baseball. He's got 13 home runs, and he's in the top 10 in RBIs with 38. If you don't have him in the lineup, I think that's a big, big plus for the Reds. Big time. So, with all that said, Wager Detective is going to make the call here. Let's take a look and see what the odds are right now. If it's moved, we'll take you on a journey here to FanDuel and see what they got to say. Major League Baseball. And look, the line is dropping. It was, what did we say before this video started? Okay, they were plus 124. That was over an hour and a half ago. The line is going from plus 124 to plus 118. Wager Detective loves it. He likes it. The over-under, not really sure of. It's going to be around that number. I think with two situations, with a team coming off the road, and a team going from city to city, there's fatigue there. We might not see that, even though we got two pitchers that, you know, their pitches become launching pads for home runs. And Great American Ballpark can be one of those spots. But I do believe that, where are we at here? 79 degrees, it's a small park, probably going to be run-inducing weather. I mean, if I had to take a side, I mean, everything I'm looking at, it could go over, could go under. A lot of games landed on 9, like we said. But Wager Detective's stronger play here is going to be for Chris Paddock, whether he gets the decision win or not, to finally have a win for his team under his belt when he starts the game. And so I'm going to call that. Wager Detective going to give you another underdog here, and I'm feeling pretty good about it, especially with I'm not seeing Baldwin in that lineup. You do have Albies, you do have Harris, but as we said, Paddock in his career 2-2 in results versus the Braves when he starts. His teams are 2-2, and he's got a 2.18 ERA in 20 2/3 innings pitched. And people are only going to see what he's done this year. He's been getting shelled, but again, it's always regression to the progression, and I think that happens here. And I think you could see a couple home runs from Cincinnati, and I'll lean over here. I'm going to lean over here. I'm going to lean over the 9.5, but the stronger play is going to be the Cincinnati Reds at plus 118 on FanDuel right now. And what time is it? This is 9:13 in the morning, so that's the call here. Wager Detective calling the Cincinnati Reds plus 118 at home, and a slight lean to the over 9.5. Be sure to follow Wager Detective on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Set alerts on Twitter. And when you subscribe on YouTube, make sure you set alerts as well, so those notifications for when the Wager Detective report drops, or whether there's intel or knowledge or just content, that you get that as soon as possible. This is Wager Detective, May 29th, 2026. More than anything, guys, remember, I love all my fans out there. Thank you for all your support, and I'll talk to you soon.